today I'm going to be testing out this eyeshadow palette from Wet n Wild. It features 8 colors, and I don't know if you can see it, but it tells you kind of where to apply each color. So, and then on the back it also gives you some looks to try out. I'm going to swatch these and see how well they swatch, and then we'll go ahead and start playing with them. Okay, as you can see, I've swatched all the colors on my arm, and they're in the same order as that, except opposite sides. So this is that white color. I don't know if you can see it. It shows up very chalky. And then here, there's a color that you can't even see at all. It's like that light pink eyelid color. And then you have the purple crease color, and then this is the definer color on that side, and then the other side you have this very shimmery pink color, this kind of mauve coppery color. This is supposed to be kind of a brown, but it looks gray to me. And this is supposed to be a dark green, but it looks almost gray to me as well. So out of all of these, the only colors that really show up good and like I expected is this one and these two. However, I'm going to be testing out multiple colors to create an eye look, and we will see what we come up with. Another thing about this palette I've noticed is there's not really a good transition shade. I thought this one was going to work as a good transition shade. It says put it on the eyelid, but after swatching it on my hand, I see that it's not going to. So I'm going to have to use another palette for a transition shade. So that's one negative for this palette, is it doesn't really have a transition shade. When I buy an eyeshadow palette, I want it to have everything in it for me already there. I don't have to use multiple palettes. So let me go get a transition shade from another palette. So this is my Lorac Pro 2 palette, and as you can see, it is a very loved palette. So I really like this nectar color right here, obviously. So I'm going to be using that as my transition shade for this eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to be taking my Real Techniques fluffy blending brush and dipping that into that color, which is nectar, and just applying it in the transition area. For those of you who don't know, the transition area is just above the crease. This helps kind of bring the look, because you from your brow bone down and blend it all together. When I first got this palette, I used it constantly. I still really love it. I may start using it again. The only reason why I haven't is because pretty much every look you can do with it, somebody has already done and posted on YouTube. So I don't want to steal anybody else's ideas. It's a very natural looking shade, and it just works. Now I'm going to be going into this palette officially. First things first is the little brushes that come with these are not good. They're not really, this alone could be an issue between why your eyeshadow looks good and your eyeshadow looks bad. So go ahead and just toss this brush and buy some real brushes. I typically get affordable brushes. The most I've ever spent on a brush, I think, was $10. So I'm going to be using my Morphe E17 crease brush, and I'm going to go in with this darkest purple shade. The reason why I'm using this color over any of the others is because it looks as if it's the only one without sparkle in it. And if you have a crease that isn't very prominent or not very deep, you don't want to use sparkly eyeshadows because it'll make it seem less deep. You want to use darker matte shadows because it gives it depth. If If you want something to pop out, you put sparkles on it, but if you want something to sink back in, you want to do a matte color. Preferably a dark matte color. Think of it as like a picture. When you want things to appear further away, you shade them in. You make a shadow, just the same with eyeshadow, you shade it in. And then things you want to appear closer is typically a lighter color. So for that purple, it blends on pretty good. I wish it were a bit darker, which I could probably build it up and make it darker. But overall, I think it blends on really, really well. I know most people think of Wet n Wild as cheap because it's, you know, affordable, and I don't know, sometimes it can be a little girly, I guess, because of their packaging. People think, oh, it's for little girls. But Wet n Wild really has stepped up their game in the makeup area. If you've seen my videos, you know that I often use Wet n Wild brushes, Wet n Wild highlighter. Their new foundation, I've heard wonderful things about it. So Wet n Wild is just like any other makeup brand. Some things are going to be great, some things are not going to be as great. But it's affordable, so I would rather spend $5 on something that doesn't work than $50 on something that doesn't work. What I think I want to do is go in with this sparkly color, which says eyelid on it, and just apply it. I'm using a Morphe M166, and I'm just going to be applying it to my eyelid. And it's a little bit dark. It's not really giving me a pop that I want. It's not really blending out very well. I'm going to use a different flat shading brush. This is actually from Wet n Wild. It is a small flat shader brush. And I'm going to go in with this color here. It says Definer. And I'm going to see if maybe we can brighten that lid up. Okay, so it's not really applying. I don't know if that's the shadow or the brush. Okay, just because I don't know if it's the shadow or the brush, I'm going to use a different flat shader brush from a different company. Let's use this one from Lottie London and see if it's shadow or the brush. I think it's just the shadow. It's not really going on there. So thus far we have a couple of different colors that are a bust. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to restart on my lid, just the lid part. So I'm going to take this makeup wipe and just take all that off of my lid. Alright, gonna try this again with this color right here that says eyelid, and see if we can brighten this eyelid up. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of color. You can tell a little bit. Not very much. I'm not really liking this at all. At all. I like that purple color I used in the crease, but thus far that's about it. That is all I like thus far. And I don't want to use the white color just because it's chalky. So what I'm going to do now is try this pink brow bone color. This color right here. When I swatched it on my hand, it showed up really good. So let's try it and see how it looks. Okay. Yep. That's the color. Right there. That's the color we want. Right there. Oh yes. That definitely shows up. I'm just going to take the crease brush again, dab it into that purple, and just go through my crease. Okay, so we finally got a color that works on the lid. I think it looks good. I'm going to take a clean blending brush and just blend all this out. Okay, now, do I want to attempt to darken it up a little bit? I'm going to try it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to use this dark color right here that says crease. And I'm going to apply it just on this outer V part of my eye. And I'm going to do it lightly, just because it is a dark color and I do not want to mess this look up. Oh, that's dark. That's way dark. And it doesn't look that dark on the camera. Like, I don't get why it's so dark. So I'm going to take this fluffy blending brush again and just kind of blend all that in. Alright, and now I'm going to take a makeup wipe and just go under my eye and up to create that corner cut that I like. So, my overall rating of this, the only colors that really seemed to work were this one and this one. The other colors in it are just not that good. They don't apply good. They aren't the colors that they appear to be in the palette. So, for its price compared to other eyeshadows, $5 for 2 shadow colors that work really great, that's a good deal. But when I buy a palette, I want to see that majority, if not all, of the colors really work out. So, that is what I think about this product. Join me next Tuesday when I test out another new product and give my opinion on it. I will see you in my next video. Bye.